Last week, the crypto space ended with a bang as Bitcoin again over the weekend got up back above $65,000 briefly. It is pulling back, and we're going to take a look at the charts here. But there are four things this week that I'm watching that I think every single one of you guys need to be paying attention to that could have major bullish price action for not only Bitcoin, but all of your favorite altcoins as well, and the stock market if you're into trading stocks. So make sure to watch this video in its entirety all the way until the end. And if you do enjoy the video, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe. But first, you gotta play the intro. Before we get going in, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of our video, CoinW. It is an amazing exchange where we are trading right now. Make sure to check out the link down below. If you want to get more into trading, you can join with our link and get access to our Discord where we do have some expert traders in there giving calls every single day, but you only get that when you sign up with our link down below. So make sure to go check them out. Let's go ahead and jump into the charts here, everybody. Let's start off by just looking at Bitcoin price action. Let's go to the 1 hour chart. I want to show you guys some things that I see. Now, as I said, we shot up this weekend and we got briefly, I said briefly, it's probably for about a couple seconds, above $65,000. We're pulling back now, but there's a couple things that's happening right now that we called borderline perfectly on this channel. And if you've been watching our channel for a while, you know we don't like the word perfect. We don't believe in the word perfect. Yet this time it seems like we got pretty darn close. The first thing, look at the breakout of the falling wedge pattern and the prediction of where we would see a breakout. All it appeared about 64,945. And while the wicks technically went barely above, that was a perfect call. Anyone who traded with our group and knew that this setup was here would have made their trade perfect. Again, we don't even like that word. The next thing that I'm watching right now, and this isn't necessarily guaranteed, but I told everyone over the weekend that we had started to be into a rising channel with these green lines, and usually these end up breaking bearish, but I told you guys based off of other indicators, I believe we would break to the upside and that you should look for a re-entry somewhere back down on retesting the resistance level as support. Well, sure enough, that's exactly what happened right here early this morning. Can it hold? Let's take a look at some other things. But why did it correct? After touching 65,000, why did Bitcoin correct? For that, we have to go to CME futures, where you will see when it's going to be hard to see actually because we cleaned it up so quickly. But when we opened up last night, right? So this candle right here closed on Friday. It closed Friday evening, and it did not reopen until late last night. Well, guess what? That created for us over the weekend a nice little gap, but almost instantaneously Bitcoin price fell back down to 63.3 to close that gap, and no longer do we have a CME gap. So anyone wondering why Bitcoin took a little bit of a spill? Well, it's because I warned you on Friday there was such a nice boost over the weekend that looked like it was coming. We were going to have a CME gap, and it's something that needed to be filled. Well, it's not. It's Monday morning, and we've already filled the gap. No more necessary pressure on the CME side for us to have to fall. Coming back into the charts, let's take a look at what Lux Algo is saying, and then we'll go and take a look at those four things you need to know about right now to tell if we're going to have a bullish. A lot of this comes this week. Know if we're going to have some bullish price action on Bitcoin and the altcoin space. Bitcoin right now wrestling with that daily smart trail, that level at the high end. 65,600 is going to be where we are watching to tell if we can turn this whole rally back into a bull-led rally rather than being led by the bears, which we have been since all the way back here on August 4th. So that's going to be very, very big. We're seeing the oscillators on the daily chart get a little high. So again, not surprised that we're having a small pullback, but look for a potential breakout and a resistance back up at 67.6, where we have a bearish breakout right there. That could get very interesting. Let's come down and look at the 4 hour and the 1 hour charts and just see what they are saying to us for the next couple of days, starting off with just the indicators. As I told you, we're hitting that green line. If we start to drop lower, though, do not be surprised whatsoever to come back down to the 4 hour smart trail here around 61,500. This would still be a higher low. This would still be a part of a bull trend since this pullback back on August 15th. However, it is something that we could come back all the way to that level. That would be a great price to get back in if you're looking for your next entry point. Anywhere between where we kind of currently are and 61,600 is going to be an amazing buy signal in my book. Oscillators as well, kind of showing that we have some room to the downside. Everything's kind of overextended. Even looking at the Luxago oscillator, we recently had our red reversal, our bearish momentum, and that negative money flow, and it's very uncommon. I'm not saying it never happens. It's uncommon when you get that sell signal on the oscillators not to see the Bitcoin price or the price of the asset at least come back down to the smart trail on the same time frame. So that's kind of what I'm watching right now. I'm actually going to be a little bit short-term bearish, might even look for some scalp short positions, not long-term, because when I come out to these longer time frames, especially the daily and the weekly, I remain overly bullish. We'll talk more about this afternoon. I'm not going to take a look at altcoins right now because if anyone's saying, well, Tim, what about the altcoins? Well, not only will we take a look at the live show this afternoon, but also they will follow whatever Bitcoin does. Why do we cover Bitcoin so much on this channel? Well, until alt season, and that's coming in a couple of months, but until alt season, Bitcoin is still king and it will make all of the big decisions for the cryptocurrency price action. So you got to pay attention to Bitcoin, even if you want to trade like the Ethereums or the Cardanos or the AVAXs. Watching what Bitcoin price is doing is going to give you the best indication of which way to be trading those altcoins. Let's talk about the 4 reasons why I'm bullish. Let's start with reason number 1. Now, reason number 1 will come to us this week. If I get to the right calendar here, it will come to us on August 29th, which is Thursday. GDP growth rate, GDP numbers will be coming out. Are we in a recession? Are we in the beginning of a recession, or is the economy strong? People have been debating this now since those massive crashes that started back in July. We had some more here in August, but then we're recovering and it's looking like the numbers aren't that bad. Well, GDP will tell us a lot, and that will come out this Thursday, August 29th. If they are positive, that could instill a lot of confidence in the markets about the plan of the Fed to go ahead and start cutting in September. That would be very, very bullish. The next piece of information, you don't have to wait very long, but the second thing I'm looking forward to this week is Friday, keeping in the same subject with the Fed, PCE numbers come out. Now, everybody wants to talk about inflation numbers, and we do cover that, and they are very important. But if you're the Fed, if you're Jerome Powell, and you're trying to decide for certain if it's time to cut rates or stay paused, or if you do cut rates, how severely to cut them, one of the biggest data points that they are looking at is PCE numbers. And right now, all of those numbers, if I go back to the screen here, are expected to be positive, expected to go in the right direction. You see the previous 0.2, 0.2, 0.3, 0.1, and the expectations here is to beat last month positively for everything. Well, that's not positive. I guess this would be negative. These things would go higher, but the expectation is that they should be a little higher. As long as we beat these numbers, as long as we stay matched with last month or even a little bit lower, these will be positive numbers for the Fed to say, yeah, we're doing all right. Yes, unemployment is a little bit higher here, but inflation and PCE not out of control just yet. So those are things that could bring those 2 things right there, GDP and PCE, could both influence the Fed to feel more confident about rate cuts, which would be bullish for price action of Bitcoin. But let's move on to reason number 3 that I am looking bullish, and I want to see this continue to develop. But last week, or like 2 weeks ago, we hit the highest level of Bitcoin mining difficulty we'd ever had in history. Well, the mining difficulty is set to resume the uptrend. I didn't highlight everything because I actually feel like reading almost everything written in this section from Cointelegraph is very, very important. Bitcoin network fundamentals show signs of an about turn after testing conditions over the past month. The latest estimates from monitoring resources of Bitcoin.com and mining pool stats show the mining sector forging a path higher despite reports of a profitability squeeze. Mining difficult, which dropped by 4.2% at its last automated readjustment, is set to recover by 2.8% this week. This will leave the metric inches from a new all-time high, canceling out the effects of the early August Bitcoin price slump below $50,000. So they're just saying there, this difficulty increase is going to be very bullish and wipe out a lot of the bearishness beforehand. At the same time, the raw hash rate reading suggests an uptrend still firmly in place for the processing power dedicated to mining. With a new all-time high spike recorded on August 23rd, this totaled 774 exahashes per second, with known pools contributing 682 EHS. The truth is, you don't need to know a lot about those details. I could have left those ones out. The overarching point here is that miners who had been selling and taking profit over the last couple of weeks are ready to go back into solely holding, buying. We even saw Mara, one of the largest mining pool companies, buying Bitcoin here over the last couple of weeks. The miners are telling us it's time for price to resume the upside. The bottom should be in. That's reason number 3. But let's go on to the number 4 reason, and the last one. Here's what Bitcoin's new all-time high are likely to in October 2024. I'm not going to get into the details, not going to read any articles. Ultimately, there were some tweets put out here from James Van Straten. Let me zoom in here just a second. And from Charlie Morris. And their overarching point, even looking at these graphs, is saying that the GBDC, Grayscale, is now 64% from its peak. It has dropped dramatically. The point here, if you guys have been following Bitcoin for months, you don't even have to be following for a couple of years at this point. If you've just been following since January, when the Bitcoin spot ETFs launched, we've rallied since then, but we have watched Grayscale dumping Bitcoin like it was hot lava, and you need to get it off your plate. But we're getting close to a level where we haven't seen this low of holding since 2019 in Grayscale. That means that only long-term holders are still there. The massive selling pressure is off. If you take a look at these graphs also, you can see the downward pressure of selling. It's starting to round off and actually start to accumulate a little more. What that means is the graphs just kind of say it there for themselves. The selling pressure of Grayscale, it's no longer at least as strong as it was, and it might even be getting back into net positive territory. Ultimately, this is another major bullish sign because, yes, we've had some other selling pressures like Germany. Yes, we've had some scares from Japan and the rest of Asia. Yes, we've had a couple other things that come in, but the largest selling pressure, the largest thing holding Bitcoin back from hitting new all-time highs has been the Grayscale Bitcoin sell-offs. And that, ladies and gentlemen, does look like it's coming to a close. So there's my 4 reasons that I'm very, very bullish, but I want to see those details come out this week and over the next couple of weeks to resume and to, get that extra confidence that the bottom is in for Bitcoin, and it's nothing but up from here. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Are you bullish right now? Are you bearish? Are you neutral? Also, as I'm closing this out, make sure you smash the like and hit subscribe. But college football is back. We had a great weekend this last week. I'm not going to bore you guys. That's why I'm keeping it to the end. But it was very hilarious watching one of my least favorite teams in college football, the Florida State Seminoles, losing to Georgia Tech. They have a track record, except for last year, of being overrated and then kind of coming out flat. I want you guys in the comments, if you're watching to this point, I want you to drop the Florida State equivalents of cryptocurrency. I can't wait to read the comments and laugh. Pretty much just type in FSU equals and then put your cryptocurrency that you think is the most overrated and yet it disappoints everybody. Can't wait to read those comments. Guys, that's all I have for you in this video. Like I said, smash like, hit subscribe. I'll see you next time.